when you put your arms around me. I haven't been there for the longest time. I'm that voice you're hearing in the hall. And the... Thank you, and welcome to Quite Contrary, the only show that's mathematically designed to...
It's not our slogan anymore.
I'm Zach Nanimus.
Johnny Dim.
And today we are doing another installment, actually the second installment ever, of the Arguminotaur. Tonight on the Arguminotaur we are going to be talking about Solo, a Star Wars movie story.
Stories time.
Spaceballs the movie.
Yes.
Okay, so Johnny and I feel a little bit differently about this movie, as most people do. It was a polarizing movie.
It was.
Now, the Rotten Tomatoes score hovers around 70%, but the fan score, the want to see it, the have seen it, whatever, the average across what people think, about 60. I think it's a fine movie. I think it's a fine movie, but I don't think it's a particularly good one. Johnny, you think it's a good one.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I was entertained by this movie, but the flaws are very easy to see. So, I'm taking the perspective that overall it is a bad movie. Even though I don't necessarily feel that way, literally for the sake of argument, that's where I'll be.
And I'll take the role of it being a good movie.
Yes, it's your turn to
I got no
produce
cue
some
from you. Just stop talking.
It's a conversation.
I didn't know.
Okay, so Johnny?
Yes.
Okay, you know I enjoyed this movie.
Yes.
Sell me on it being a good movie.
Sell you on it being a good movie.
Yes.
Well, let's start off with...
Oh, one thing we should add is that this is extemporaneous, off the cuff.
Yeah, we're just going
In fact, there's a secret later. Johnny and I, we had kind of a pre-interview, but I left one of my... I left a little piece of ammunition for myself towards the end.
Yes, he did. Okay, so I want to start with the theming of the whole movie. And what I mean by that is that this is a Star Wars movie. They tell you it's a Star Wars movie. It's in the title. But it's not traditionally a Star Wars movie. And that's what really started me off on the right foot with this movie, is that there are no lightsabers. There are no space wizards. This is a straight-up scoundrel that is Han Solo, a character that we do know and love. But it talks about his origin story, and it's the world he came from, as far as Star Wars. He was introduced, he was kind of like the Hobbit in 4, 5, and 6. Like, he was being introduced to those elements. Like, that was kind of a new thing for him. And for me, I think that really set the tone for this movie, and it made it a Star Wars movie that is actually new to us. It felt fresh,
or at least off the beaten path.
Right.
Okay. The thing
that started us on the right foot.
Okay, and the thing that I would counter with, as far as that's concerned, is that while this has the trappings and includes the setting of a young Han Solo and his formative years, blah, 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 blah,
yep.
It actually does kind of a poor job of telling the story, or at least putting it in an appropriate context. One of the big examples is actually the quest. This is another... Is this a hero's journey? It's a hero's journey, except for the fact that he has to kill his own mentor.
Yeah.
Spoilers!
Oh yeah, we're going to spoil stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so here's your warning.
Come on!
Yeah.
Who doesn't see a movie one day before it comes out anymore? Who? No one, that's it.
Well, I know a few people because Comic Palooza got in the way.
That's true. Okay. So, while it has the setting of the Han Solo origin story, it doesn't necessarily do a good job of telling that origin story. One of the big things about the quest is that he's going to go save his friend Kira, who's played by Daenerys Targaryen, whatever her name is. So his whole thing is that he's got to go. He loses her, a job goes south, they get separated, he's off planet, or thinks he's about to be off planet, so he immediately joins the Imperial Army, or the Imperial Navy, immediately.
As a means to better escape.
He's got to learn to fly a ship,
right,
so that he can get back to the planet that he's on.
He actually already knows how to fly. He knows how to fly.
Okay.
That was a funny joke, but he actually even mentions when he was younger, like 11 years old, he flew a freighter or something.
Then why does he care about being in the Navy?
He enjoys flying.
All
he
wants is to get back to the planet he's literally on.
Right, but he can't just go back, though.
Right. He needs to come back in a military vessel that's tracked very carefully at all times.
No.
Yeah. Well, then what?
It's partly about his identity. It's because he can't go there. He can't go there without like credentials because like they know they're looking for him. He's got to wait. He's got to wait at least a few months at least, or they're gonna know. Like, oh, that's that guy we were chasing. Let's stop him. Sure. He had to have an alibi. He had to have cover. He had to have a different identity and to prevent himself from being arrested, shot, whatever was going to happen.
Especially since in the far-flung future, there's no such thing as background check. They literally let you make up your last name like Ellis Island in the 1940s.
Star Wars. Okay, like Wakanda, Star Wars has an identity crisis problem. Star Wars is futuristic. At the same time, it's very archaic in its format.
Okay.
The weaponry and stuff, they've explained this in like, what was it? Last Jedi. It got really weird with the way the weapons work. We can shoot them, but we can't shoot them when they're a little far away. Like there's weird rules in Star Wars about the warfare. They cover a little bit in Last Jedi.
Okay.
But my point is,
hold on.
Maybe they don't have background checks.
I'll give you that, but how about this? Apparently, Han Solo goes into the Royal Academy and gets kicked out. And that very exciting scene, which would have had, some political strife, maybe introduce some characters in a really meaningful way, maybe introduce the crew, maybe instead of the crew trying to, steal something in the middle of a battlefield, they're actually at his academy, like stealing ships and stuff like that. That would have been a fine caper for them to do. Instead of all that, we completely gloss over all of his time in the academy and explain it with one unsatisfying line.
Which was?
I got kicked out of the Royal Academy. I got kicked out of the Imperial Academy for having a mind of my own.
Right.
And the thing is that there was none of that. They even could have done like a chief joke, where it's like, welcome to the Imperial Academy, Han Solo. And then immediately you see him like kicked out onto the steps, like rolling down. I had a mind of my own. What's wrong with that?
I agree. That would have been funny.
Right.
That would have been a little bit better.
Something. But there was so much of this movie that gets glossed over with single lines that it doesn't really tell the story of Han Solo. Now, some really formative stuff happens to him that we don't see.
Now, fortunately for this movie, it has like the grand excuse for everything, which is it had multiple directors. Okay. they are all on the wrong path, according to Ron Howard and Disney.
Having a valid excuse doesn't make it a good movie.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree, but it's a softer blow. To the movie because it does have a little bit of an excuse, and there are, like I told you, and we were texting about it. It's like this movie does feel like a patchwork of scenes, and it does feel weird. You can definitely tell where Ron Howard took over. Yeah. Like you can see the lines; they're there.
Okay,
but anyway,
hit me with another one.
So hit you another one. Why it was good?
Why it was sell you
because
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Okay. I'm fine with it not having Jedis. A lot of fans have been looking for that. Me, personally, I don't care. I like Jedis. I would have liked to see them take a backseat, or maybe even have a character that's on par with a Jedi just through pure skill.
Here's one that I know you can't possibly have a defense for. Because every single person I've heard that had liked the movie, they all like this one thing. And it is the wonderful actor playing Han Solo himself. He got the mannerisms down. He played a good Han Solo. He made sense. There was things that he did that we knew were Han Solo. Like they were. This movie, maybe, I think part of the reason I've fallen in love with this movie so much is that it actually reminded me. I was in junior high. This was about the time that they were re-released with all the special stupid footage. Like in the late 90s, they're like
94, I think.
Yeah, so they come out. I actually saw A New Hope in theaters, and during that time, I fell in love with Han Solo, the character, right? And he was the only character I really liked. I had the blaster and everything. It was really fun. Anyway, my point is, this movie made us fall in love with Han Solo again because of how well it was acted.
Okay, the thing about that is, your argument actually has the disadvantage of Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans
they ruined everything.
They've spent so much time trying to tell me that this is a bad movie, that while I'm sitting there enjoying the movie, I would say it's actually towards the end of the movie. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, there's got to be something like really, really bad with the movie. What do I not get yet? What is unsatisfying here? And when I looked at Han Solo just in this movie, I had trouble pinning him down. What exactly was he except for a one-liner machine and a pretty good smirk?
Oh, in the original series.
No, I'm talking about in this movie.
In that movie?
In the original series, it's very obvious what he is. He's passionate. He's boisterous. He's out for himself, and without it feeling cheap. Him being a lone gun kind of thing was very manufactured in this one.
Counterpoint. This is the movie where Han Solo becomes himself. He grows into the character that we love.
Sure.
Yeah.
But as a young upstart, which I respected him being, it was fine that he was different from Han Solo because he was young and hungry. They actually mentioned in the movie.
Sure.
By the time we get to Han Solo in the Mos Eisley Cantina, he's a little complacent. He knows he's kind of a dirtbag. Maybe he's never going to rise above the ranks of scoundrel.
Right.
You know, he's hanging out in Tatooine. Come on, you know you've messed up if you're hanging out in Tatooine. Yeah. But as a young upstart, I only saw his actions and the fact that he wanted to kiss Kira. That's it was like, yes, I'm going to go do the thing. Yes, I'm going to go do the thing. Yes, I'm going to go do the thing. Ooh, a lady. That was it. You know, he didn't feel fleshed out to me.
Okay.
His charisma didn't shine through, even as a young, optimistic scoundrel.
You got to be shitting me. When he gave that little smirk. You didn't swoon and fall in love with Han Solo right there?
I don't remember doing so.
That's because it's a very intoxicating experience. You blacked out.
It's a very subtle swoon. No, I mean that's a value. Mm-hmm. I guess all of these are value arguments, but right. I just if you were to actually describe this guy, if you were to describe this guy, and you weren't allowed to mention anything about the other movies, what would you say?
I describe him, what I felt like, and I said this to you at one point, was that he feels like an Oliver Twist character to me. He's a character that's just trying to survive. And he's, at the same time, he does have his eyes on the prize, and he does want, literally, he wants money. He wants to do well. And he wants to do well for his woman.
That's an issue.
Why? Because
in the original story, Oliver Twist was a character that was swept up in the toxic culture of London,
sure,
in the industrial era. He's very much a non-character.
I think what we didn't see was him as more like an Oliver Twist character when he was very young. You know, was it Coruscant?
No, London.
He's
from. No, he's not from Coruscant. He's from.
It starts with C.
The YT. The ship. Corellia.
Where the Star
Corellia.
The Star Destroyers are made.
Huh?
The Star Destroyers are made.
Maybe.
No, they are.
Okay. Corellia. I didn't see the first 5 minutes of it.
Okay.
I got light.
So, another good thing about the movie,
okay.
That third act.
That third act, though.
Was very good.
Yes. The third act.
Yes.
You know what? You start.
I thought the third act really brought everything together. I felt like it was shot better than the rest of the movie. Like you said earlier, Ron Howard turned the lights on.
The whole movie. It was gray smudge, brown smudge, blue smudge, Ron Howard. The Grinch. The Truman Show, for all intents and purposes.
The Ron Howard colors came out. And I thought it was cinematically just shot very well. Especially when they had the face-off with the, what do they call them? Not the smugglers. The guys on the bikes.
Raiders?
Yeah, the Raiders. I thought that scene...
Or Aaron's Nest?
Yeah.
Urine's Nest?
Something like that. And you got to see, what I like, and like when I was talking about how Han Solo kind of becomes his own, is like that's the scene you get to see him try to bluff the hell out of some people, and it fails miserably. Mm-hmm. And that felt like a Han Solo moment to me. And it also really helps add to the broadening definition of what the relationship between him and Lando was, and what that became. You know, I love seeing this growth of what you see, and you know what he becomes up becoming. But anyway, my point is, that scene was shot very well. Yes, the creation of the Rebel Alliance was a little weak and weird, but other than that, I really, really liked that third act.
The thing is that respecting the fact that the creation of the Rebel Alliance happened in this movie and felt weak is actually very telling and very important, because here's my secret ammunition. Johnny?
Yes?
What is the theme of this movie? If this movie is trying to teach us anything, what is it?
Don't trust anybody.
Really?
That's what I got out of it.
But
because that's what Beckett said, and then his woman
ends up turning on him.
His woman ends up turning on him.
Wound up to not be turning on him.
Yes, but half turning on him.
Half not turning on him.
Right. But that's what I got out of it.
Okay, except for the fact that our main character has to put his faith in Iris Ness or whatever the Raiders has to put his faith in the Raiders in order to pull off the last
Trust
scene.
is a complicated thing. Maybe that's the theme. Anyway, what's the theme?
The theme is that you have to sacrifice who you think you are in order for to achieve personal growth.
Okay.
You have to sacrifice who you think you are.
Sure.
Han Solo thinks of himself as the scoundrel, but the Raiders convince him that he can be a galactic hero if he helps them instead of trying to just get his money.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the theme of the movie.
Right.
That whole theme plays out in the last 15 minutes because it was completely tacked on. The whole rest of the movie had nothing to do with it. We needed at least one other scene.
Because Ron Howard didn't have control of the whole entire movie. I know it's a bad excuse, but that's the excuse.
We needed at least one additional scene with the Raiders where maybe the Raiders pull a punch or literally save a member of the crew so that the characters and the audience by extension think, whoa, I thought these were the ruthless bad guys. What's going on? And then when they show up at the end, when you're just expecting another dumb fight sequence, the audience gets a chance to guess and be like, I wonder if it's going to be like before. I wonder why they did that thing.
A quick sidebar before we go to the rest of the third act.
Okay.
The relationship between Chewie and Solo was amazing.
Yes, fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
We got one. No, so the third act. So a part of the third act is what I consider should have been and could have been a mid-credits Easter egg. Right. But Star Wars doesn't do mid-credits scenes.
They don't even do after-credits scenes.
They don't do them. The reason they don't do them is because that's a Marvel thing. Could you imagine the backlash if they had done a mid-credits or end-credits scene? People would have been up in arms because they would have said, this is Disney getting their dirty paws all over our Marvel. And of course, we know Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel properties. We know that. But they would, if it would have been more obvious, the fanboys would have been, it would have been worse.
The thing about the after credit scene is that they're used to set up sequels,
right? And that's what this scene does.
Serial storytelling is supposed to set up sequels anyway, right? And so it doesn't require it.
Okay, It may not have required it, but this particular one, and this is the big spoiler, so if you didn't heed our first warning, this is the big spoiler. 3, 2, 1. Darth Maul is in this movie.
So silly.
What, me counting down?
No.
Oh, okay.
Darth Maul being in this movie.
I loved it.
So
okay,
silly.
This is my argument about that.
I think it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mad about it.
I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not. I'm really not. But I knew that because people were telling me when Darth Maul came back in like the cartoon that they have, the animated stuff, and that he comes back with robot legs. Of course, he gets cut in half.
They come back. Yeah. Robot legs is where we were.
It'd be like 2 minutes.
Are they leaving based on that?
I think they're just going to hang out in the lobby. Robot legs.
He's come back with the robot legs.
Yeah, he's come back with the robot legs. And okay, so when I heard that he came back on the robot legs, okay, we got teased once. There was a April Fool's joke video of a trailer of a Darth Maul movie, right? And people that liked Darth Maul, we thought he was wasted because he could have been a villain for at least another movie, something like that.
He should have been the Darth Vader of the original.
He should have been in 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, exactly. But that didn't happen, so we wanted him to come back. They're finally giving us what we want, and now we have people complaining about it. People like you, why are you complaining about this? This is awesome.
Here's why.
He's finally back.
You want to know why?
Why?
Same reason I don't like the way the Rebel Alliance started, because it's completely tacked on. Darth Maul has nothing to do with Han Solo. Nothing at all.
Which is why they had to tease, and this is the bigger argument. This is a very meta argument, but they had to tease him because they knew there was a really good chance that Solo was not going to make a lot of money, and it hasn't. So they put an insurance policy in there to get people really excited about the, not the Qui-Gon Jinn, what is it, Ben Kenobi. The Ben Kenobi movie.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time.
Right, because they're doing an Obi-Wan movie. They've talked about this, and he's gonna finally get his vengeance for Darth Maul killing his master Qui-Gon.
Right. Okay.
And that's an exciting thing. They gotta get people excited.
Aside from it being tacked on and cheap and having nothing to do with this story.
And being a marketing ploy.
Aside from that, it's a much better reveal for the Obi-Wan trailer. It's a much better reveal for the Obi-Wan. Okay, the thing is, it would have been the best reveal in the Obi-Wan movie. Mm-hmm. There should have been a moment where they blew something up, this fog of war, and Kenobi is like in the sands of Tatooine, doesn't know why there's so many Viper droids around him, and then some, and then yes, perfect. But that's not how marketing works anymore. That's not what people get excited about movies for anymore. So it would have done the most for the way the market is now in an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. That's what we needed to see. This is tacked on, forced, and the scene itself is a little silly.
For all of us that are excited about Darth Maul being in this movie and being in the next Star Wars story, here's the thing. We can still have that moment, and it's still going to be freaking awesome. It's still going to have the gravity of seeing that for the first time.
No! Yes. Because it's not for the first time. You only get it once. That's how a reveal works.
This was a good tease.
It was tacked on, and you admitted it was nothing but a marketing ploy.
Absolutely.
Also,
but I will appreciate good marketing, and I think that exactly that's what that was.
The staging of it didn't even make sense. First off, I missed that he had robot legs entirely.
I did too, actually.
Yeah. So
I thought it was someone else of his race.
If they wanted to make, they thought it was another Zabrak.
Because he looks a little different.
He's older.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if they wanted to make it like a little bit more intense, they should have had him from just the waist up, and then the scene would have ended with "It's all right, Master Maul, I'm on my way," and be like, "No," and like robot arms pick him up and then like set him down into legs, and he stands. I'm coming to you. That's how it should have been, instead of him pulling out his lightsaber and like, oh, I have a lightsaber. Like, we know. We covered it.
Okay. I think we've reached the end of this Arguminotaur. Okay, so we're at the end here. I do want to say before we completely wrap things up, this T-shirt I'm wearing, I like this T-shirt. This is an awesome T-shirt. This T-shirt is
no Spajoli.
Yes, Spajoli. I think Count Orlok is his actual name, isn't it?
No, Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is the movie, but I think the character's name is doesn't matter. The point is, this T-shirt, I actually bought this. Movie. I bought this at Comicpalooza. I do a lot of T-shirt reviews on our sister channel, on the Johnny Dim channel.
They have everything on YouTube now, don't they?
They do. I like T-shirts, but this is a very comfortable T-shirt. It's done very well. There's a lot of quality that goes into making these particular T-shirts, and this is from Rogues Apparel, and there'll be a link down in the description if you want to check that out. Yeah.
So until next time, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section. Remember that even though we've now hit our goal of over 400 subscribers, now that we've done that, we're still small enough that if you comment, we will listen. If you have a request, we'll do it. We have a whole list of requests from Comicpalooza from our super great fans. If you want to see any of our Comicpalooza coverage, check out the links here. Also, remember that we are a fan-funded channel. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what we do for our patrons, once again, check the links down in the description. A lot of super fun stuff there. A movie list from Johnny, a movie list from me if you'd like to know the kind of movies that we like. Whatever! I'm going home.